Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different and reviewing the playing of two celebrity saxophone players, Jennifer Garner and Bill Clinton. If you're currently learning the sax, chances are these are tips that you'll be able to implement too. So let's get started. First up is Jennifer Garner.
This looks hard. My saxophone's name was Sally the Sexy Saxophone, and I lost her. How do you lose a saxophone? My mom and I marvel. Where did she go? Who has Sally? Well, here's Mary Had a Little Lamb. You're welcome.
All right, so I have some thoughts. Now, the first thing that I noticed with Jennifer's playing was that she had her bottom lip rolled quite far over her bottom teeth. Now, that's a very, very common thing for beginners to do, or for those that haven't played the saxophone in a while, because what that does is it compensates for muscle strength. So basically, as you play the saxophone, the longer that you play it for, over several days, weeks, months, years, the muscles in your lip get stronger and stronger, so they can play for longer. If you haven't been playing for very long though, or if you haven't been playing for a long time, then they get weaker, and to compensate for that lack of muscle strength in your lips, often what you'll do is you'll roll your bottom lip over your bottom teeth, and that allows you to maintain the necessary pressure on the mouthpiece to get a firm seal without having to use those muscles. Now, the problem with that is that with all of that lip in contact with the reed, you end up with a very muted sound. And that's because that lip is acting like a mute, which is soaking up the vibrations on the reed and basically causing your tone to really shrink and sound very constrained. What I would say to Jennifer is try to get that bottom lip out a little bit more. So rather than rolling it all the way over your bottom teeth, just gently roll it over just a little bit, right? Not all the way over. And that way you can start building up the strength in that lip muscle, and it'll also prevent you from getting that really sometimes painful ridge on the underside of your lip where your bottom teeth can sometimes dig into. Now, the second thing I would say to her is that she could actually use a little bit more mouthpiece in her mouth. I noticed that when she was playing then, she was playing quite far to the tip, and that has a really dramatic impact on your sound as well. The more mouthpiece that you actually have inside your mouth as you play, the more reed can actually vibrate with the air that you provide, and the bigger your sound will actually become. Now, there is a dark side to that though, because if you keep going further and further and further on, the sound stops being warm and inviting, and then it gets really, really brash and edgy and harsh, and then eventually you'll just start squeaking. So there is a sweet spot on the mouthpiece, and the quickest way to find the sweet spot is by looking closely at where the reed actually contacts the underside of your mouthpiece. That's called the fulcrum point, and that is where your top teeth and your bottom lip should be lined up with. If you're further back from that towards the tip, if you don't have that amount of mouthpiece in your mouth, then you're going to end up with a really thin sound. So I'd just say to Jennifer, just move a little bit further onto the mouthpiece. That'll really open up your sound. The third thing I noticed was with her shoulders as she was playing, she was getting really tense and lifting her shoulders up like this. It's really hard to take a nice deep breath of air when you're doing that. So I'd say just relax, release the tension in your shoulders, make sure you can take a nice deep breath into that belly down here, into your diaphragm. And also when you're less tense here, generally you'll be less tense with your embouchure as well. On the plus side, I'd say she's got a great attitude towards playing the saxophone. And the other thing was I could actually hear the tongue there. She was actually articulating those notes. They weren't perfectly in time, but I could tell that she wasn't just using her air to start the notes. She was using the tongue, which is a really great start. Now, as promised, the second player I'm going to be reviewing is Bill Clinton. Let's listen to a clip of him playing sax on the Arsenio Hall show in 1992. Now, the first thing I want to draw attention to in this clip is the mouthpiece. So I believe he's playing on a Berg Larsen metal mouthpiece here. And what I would say to him is that if he's not playing a lot of saxophone, that's probably the wrong mouthpiece to have. Those mouthpieces have a really skinny profile. They demand quite a bit of embouchure support and muscle strength in order to play them well. And again, if you're not playing often enough, then you lose that strength, and then you're playing a mouthpiece that's really not suited to you. It's much harder to control, much harder to get the intonation right. So I would say if he wants a big, bright, bluesy sound, he can still do that, but I would be looking for a hard rubber or a plastic mouthpiece. I mean, these days there's hundreds to choose from, but even back then, he could have been playing on an Otto Link or a Claude Lakey or something like that. The second thing I would say is breath control. So Bill is kind of what we term a honker, and that is that he's using 100% of his breath capacity as he's playing the entire time. So he's just giving it 100%. The problem is that every mouthpiece, every saxophone tops out at a certain level, and usually it's a little bit less than 100%. So that means that if you're pushing past that point, the sound gets a little bit ugly. You start getting into overblowing territory. The tone's harder to control. There's more mispitching. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens. Make sure that you're practicing playing loud at home in the White House, but just playing with a little bit less air. Your tone will improve, you'll still get a big sound, and if you're playing in a mic'd up situation, if you're playing on television, if you're playing in a blues or a rock band, hey, that's what microphones are for. Here's a little clip of me playing Simply the Best on TV. You can see I'm giving it absolutely everything I can, but trying not to overblow, right? Trying not to let the mouthpiece top out. This is what it sounds like. I'm going to now give Bill a couple of compliments about his playing. First of all, great posture, Bill. Standing up nice and straight, relaxed shoulders, just like the advice that I was giving to Jennifer Garner before. He played a great bend in there as well. Very bluesy, very appropriate for the style. Love that. And that shred at the end, if you can call it that, a cadenza, whatever it was, it was uncontrolled, right? I'm not sure he was completely, across what he was playing there, but I kind of dug it. Now, if these two celebrity sax players have convinced you to start learning saxophone, I'm going to leave a link down below to the SaxTuition website where you can watch your first lesson and get started for free. It's going to teach you how to get the saxophone together, how to get a great tone, and learn and play your first few songs. You'll also get a PDF ebook and demo tracks sent directly to your email. Make sure to like and subscribe to the SaxTuition YouTube channel. Check these videos out here if you want more content from me, and I'll see you all again soon.